Good morning. Welcome back here to your mat. Welcome back to Harmony Yoga. Today I want to encourage you to look at your practice as something that doesn't need to be perfect. It's something that can fit into any time, any place. And so I just got done with a walk and doing some gardening, so I look a little bit kind of come as you are, right? So I think if we look at it that way, we come to our practice just as we are, wherever we are, and use this as a practice of exploration, not as a practice of trying to be perfect or trying to have this this certain goal out there that really is unachievable. So yesterday, a friend of mine posted something on Facebook about the balance between grief and gratitude. And many of you know I just lost my father 2 weeks ago. And so definitely familiar with that feeling of grief, right? But they say when you balance that with gratitude, you still can have compassion for other people because you've been through the grief, but you really pair that with gratitude for the hope in the future and a hope in the promise of eternal life in our faith tradition. And so I love that I can still be working through the grief, but really pair that with the gratitude to help me find that balance. And it's going to be always moving, right? And it made me think of the same way in your practice. When we're in balance postures, you never really stick the balance posture, right? You kind of ebb and flow. You can feel your muscles and your tendons really kind of working to try to keep you upright and balanced. Everything is still moving to keep you in that balanced posture. And you'll notice even in my practice, I am not perfect by any means. That's the farthest thing from the truth. So you'll see me kind of bobble and weave and maybe come out of the posture early because I can't quite achieve that balance. And so true in life. We really never get to a balance point where we can stay there. It's always evolving, always moving. So I just want to bring you that message today. Coming to your mat just as you are, coming as often as you can. It's not a one-time thing. It's not even a once a week thing. I think your practice really will evolve. You'll feel so much better in your body if you come to your mat daily. So that's why I kind of do a little bit shorter practice with a little simpler message so we can get moving right away. But go ahead and sit up nice and tall with me. Close your eyes and turn inward. Take a deep sigh out. Do that again. Inhale. Exhale. Settle into this posture. So even in the breath, we're finding that balance between the in and the out breath, between the elongation of the spine and the settling of the muscles. So the inhale, we get taller, and exhale, we settle without losing what we've achieved on the inhale. So we don't come back to that slouch position. We stay up nice and tall. And then grabbing the knees, move the spine forward. You can keep your eyes closed if you like or pop them open. Exhale, move your spine back toward the wall behind you. And do that a few more times with your breath. Inhaling, we just start to gently move the spine to the rhythm of the breath. So without any end game here, any goal we're trying to achieve in this, we're just gently opening up the spine, moving from the inside out. Exhaling. Good, and then go ahead and come to a standing position. And we'll start out right away in a balanced posture. Inhale, bring your arms up to the sky. And exhale, lean over to the right. Push down more through your left foot and begin to lift the right toes toward your right knee and hike the leg up into the hip socket. So now we're balancing on one foot. And first thing in this practice that might not come naturally for you, but go ahead and try anyway. Go ahead and take your feet back to hips width apart, both feet down, toes are facing forward, and then lean over to the left. Feel the weight come into your right foot. Take the left toes, draw them toward the knee first, and then hike the whole leg up into the hip socket. So if you can see, my hips are not balanced right now. They're not even. One hip is higher than the other. Let's do that one more time each side. So go over to the right. Inhale, hug the muscles to the bones as you pull the toes up toward your knee, hiking the leg up into the hip socket. And you might need to touch your toe down every now and again to help keep that balance. But we're keeping the legs straight. Good. Over to the other side, staying with the breath here. Shift the weight over to the right foot. Left toes come up, hugging the muscles to the bones. and then hiking the leg up into that hip socket. Are you with me here? And it may be a little bit challenging. You can always try this posture just hanging on to a countertop or a bar or a chair, and just, if this is unfamiliar to you, keeping the leg straight, you're just hiking the leg up into the hip socket and go to the other side. So that's just that simple movement this way that you can try, kind of taking the balance out of the equation. So that was kind of a double whammy there. We added the balance and that new posture. Okay, so now bringing the hands to the top of the thighs, just like we did from a seated position. Inhale, draw the spine forward, look up. And exhale, round the spine, drop the head, stretching the upper back. Let's go one more time here. Standing cat-cow, inhale, look up, and exhale, round. Good, and come to standing. Let's go ahead and start our sun salutation this morning by coming to the front of your mat. Feet are parallel, hip width apart. Lift and separate your toes. Press down through the ball of the big toes. Spread your little toes out to the side. Move your hips back. Scoop the tail down, and inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Draw the ribs back. We keep trying to move the ribs back. That's going to give us some freedom when we keep making that attempt to open the shoulders without taking the ribs with us, right? So moving the ribs down, but opening the shoulders. And then reach the hands forward, exhaling, coming down to a forward fold, finding your knee, your shins, or a block. Maybe the floor comes easily to you this morning. Inhale, lift halfway up, and exhale, release down. One more time here. Inhale, lift halfway up, spin the inner thighs back, and exhale, keeping that, release the head down. On the next inhale, step the right leg back to deep lunge and move the hips side to side. Pushing down into the right fingertips, reach the left arm up to the sky. Look at your outer left hip. Can you scoop that under and then send all that energy down through that front heel, drawing the shoulder blades together on the back. The back leg is nice and strong and straight, lifted. We're not sinking into the back leg. Nice job. Reach that hand down and step back to downward facing dog. Bending one leg here and then the other. The next time you bend at your left knee, stay there. Push down into your left hand. Reach your right hand around to the left shin. And then slowly begin to straighten the leg and turn and look under the left armpit. Yes. Take a child's pose. Heels come back, or hips come back to the heels, reaching the arms forward and forehead onto the mat. Staying here for a couple cycles of breath. And come up onto your fingertips, wiggling the fingertips over to the left. Push your right hip back. Wiggling back to center. And then over to the right side, push your left hip back. Good, and bring your hands back to the mat. Come onto your knees. Curl the toes under. This time, straighten the left leg, bend your right knee, push down through your right hand. With the left hand, reach around to the right ankle. Slowly begin to straighten the right leg, turn and look under the right armpit. Good, come back to center. Bring the right foot forward now. Come up onto your left fingertips. Reach the right arm up to the sky. Move your outer right hip under. Send the energy down your right heel. Draw your shoulder blades together. Finding the balance of the breath. Balance in this posture by hugging the muscles to the bones, drawing in on the inhale, and sending that breath out through the fingertips and through the back heel on the exhale. Good, bring your hand down to the mat, step forward, forward fold. Your knees can be bent here, your hands can be up on a block. Those are ways to modify so we don't overstretch here what might be a little bit tight. Over time, that will work itself out if you don't move too quickly. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up to the sky. Circle the hands around back to the heart here, pressing the heart into the thumbs and the thumbs back into the heart space. Closing the eyes and just notice the rhythm of the breath and how your body tries to regain its balance after just a little bit of effort there. Even with your eyes closed, feel how you balance between both feet, the front and back of the feet, the right and left side of the feet. Maybe circling your hips around a little bit. Feel the contact to the mat. And then come back into the place of the middle. Lift and separate the toes. Press down through the ball of the big toe. Separate the little toes. Bend your knees. So shins come forward, thighs go back. And then scoop the tailbone down. Draw the ribs back. Inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. So we've created that long side body in a couple different postures we've done already this morning. So embrace that, moving the shoulders up away from the hips. Keep that length as you reach the hands forward now. Hips go back. Hands come down to the block or down to the floor or your shin. If you're on your shin, just be careful that you're not hyperextending your knees. So when the knees go too far back, that doesn't make the knee very happy, so we want to keep a slight bend there. Inhale, lift halfway up. And exhale, release down. This time, inhale, step the left leg back to deep lunge and come upright. So if you don't have the right distance between your front and back feet, what's going to happen is when you bend, your knee's going to go over your ankle. We just want the knee to be directly above the ankle. Protect the knee. Move the inner thighs out to the right. Scoop the tailbone and watch what happens now. Your hips become level and even facing forward. So you can do that again. Inhale, push your hips over to the right. That's the inner spiral. And then as you scoop the tailbone down, the left hip comes forward, the right hip goes back. And then inhale, reach both arms up to the sky. Drag the back heel back and bend more into the front knee so far as it doesn't go over in front of the ankle. So if you're kind of hanging out here, see if you can. You may actually find it easier to let the knee come over the ankle and let the bones support you. Good. So here you are in a high lunge, hugging the arms together. Take the right hand, grab the left wrist, pull it up toward the sky, and maybe even arch over a little bit to the right. No need to overdo it here. Scoop the tailbone, draw your ribs back. Feel all that sensation. Bring your hands down to the mat. Top of a push-up position. Bending the elbows. Drop your knees if you need to, or slowly lower down. Untuck the toes. Walk the feet to the back of your mat. Rotate the shoulders up and away from the floor. Pause here. Lift your inner thighs and then scoop the tailbone. Drag the hands back. Lift up to a low cobra. Exhale down. Maybe the next breath you come up a little bit higher. But remember, we're dragging the hands back, not pushing into the hands, right? That's different. And then stack your forearms one on top of the other. Rest your forehead. Think about balance in this posture. We're balancing our effort. We're adding in a surrender here. So the body and the mind and the spirit starts to get used to this idea of life's ebb and flow. And it is resilient. And even if there's a burst of energy, we can pair that with a little bit of surrender and come back to that equilibrium. That state of equanimity, right? Where all is well. So that was my dad's famous last words almost, that all is well and all will be well. So can we believe that and bring ourselves back to that state where all is well in the body, the mind, and the spirit. And the hands next to the chest, curl the toes under, lift up to downward facing dog. And let's play around here with a little three-legged down dog. So lifting the right leg up to the sky, extending your arms, pushing evenly into both hands. You can even bend the right leg, pushing it over toward the left, but scoop the tailbone kind of as an emergency break here so you don't go too far. Feeling that stretch wherever you feel that. And then come back, let's take a child's pose. Stretching your hips back to your heels. Curling the toes under here, back to down dog. Lift the left leg up to the sky. Push your hands together. I'm sorry, I've got a little, I didn't change out of my little walking shirt this morning and it's not cooperating. All right, so here we are, down dog. Lift the left leg, bend the left foot, or the left knee, and move the foot to the right, but scoop the tailbone. Even looking under the left armpit. Hug the arms together, scoop the tailbone. And then you can come back down and take a child's pose, or you can bring that foot all the way through and come up right now. We'll do crescent on the other side. So bending into the front knee, move the hips out to the left, scoop the tailbone and level the hips again. Hips are even, facing forward. Inhale, lift the arms. You can always reestablish that. Hips out to the left, scoop the base of the tail down, the base of the spine, leveling the hips, dragging the back heel back, checking to make sure that knee is right over the ankle. Staying upright here, or the next thing you can do is grab the right wrist, pull it up and a little bit over to the left, dragging that right heel back, staying with the breath. Good, bring your hands down, step forward, forward fold. Hands to the hips, elbows to the sky, lift halfway up, and then come all the way up to standing. All right, so now we're going to work on some balance postures here. And again, we're not trying to achieve perfection, we're just playing around here, right? Keep challenging ourselves. So the first one is tree pose. This is pretty typical in any yoga class. I'll just give you a couple little pointers here to help. Left toes are going to face forward. In fact, lift and separate the toes and try to broaden the foot out so you've got a broad base of support. Move the thighs back. Again, scoop the base of the tail down. And then the right foot can come to the ankle, the shin, or the upper thigh. In either case, the attempt is the hips are forward and the knee is out to the side. So the lower your foot goes, the more readily the knee can open to the side. Now draw your ribs back, lift the heart though. So we're trying to create this lift of the heart while the ribs stay, and then hands can be at the heart or lifted up overhead. You decide. Can you find that place where you can ebb and flow in your posture? Maybe taking your eyes up where the wall meets the ceiling, or finding something that's not moving that's pretty specific to look at. So lifting the gaze, lifting the heart, sending that energy down that standing leg, thinking stable thoughts. Good, coming out of that posture. Just notice the difference between your right and left leg. I can feel it, my left ankle was working really hard to keep me stabilized. So now let's add that balance by working on the other side. So right toes facing forward, lift and separate, trying to create that broadness across the foot. And then thighs back, scoop the tailbone. Left foot either on the ankle, the shin, or the upper thigh. And keeping the shins back, scoop the tailbone again. You can always reestablish that. Hands to the heart. Keep the ribs down as you lift the heart, lift the gaze. Again, pressing in at the heart, or you can try something different on this side, reaching the arms up to the sky. Sometimes I've known people even to do a little chest opener by interlacing the hands behind you. If that feels good to you today, feel free to go there. And of course, if you're struggling to gain your balance, that is something, if you work on, you will regain your balance. That is a proven fact. You can work on that. We start to lose it in our 30s, but we can regain it with practice. You can always use a countertop, a wall, a chair, to help you get the spirit of the pose without having to worry so much about the balance, right? Go ahead and come out of that posture. Okay, so now let's take a wide stance on our mat here, and let's have your block handy. Let's do the right toes toward the front of the mat and bring the block to the outside of the ankle. So we're gonna go here from triangle to half moon. So in fact, I'm gonna move back a little bit so I don't end up out of the camera shot here. So bringing the block back. So a wide stance, I'm just gonna give myself even a little bit more room here. Feels a little more open if I separate my feet apart. Let me just say, if you're not on a sticky mat, that you're not gonna feel safe, so you just won't go that far because you're gonna feel like you're gonna lose control. So that's why yoga mats are a little different than a Pilates mat, different than an exercise mat. They do have a little bit of stick to them. So in case you're new to this practice, you'd wanna find a sticky yoga mat. You can always message me for information on how to find a good thick, or not thick, but a dense, like I've got a real dense mat here that's very helpful. But you can find yoga mats almost anywhere, and any yoga mat will have that sticky feature to it. Not really sticky, but it helps you. So now bring the arms out to the side. Inhale, lift the heart, draw the shoulder blades back. Pause here, just open and soften. Yeah, it's hard to find balance in anything when we're gripping, right? So we just kind of open and let the flow through us, right? Let the grace flow through us, even let the grief, the gratitude, whatever it is, letting that flow through us by not gripping and holding on here. Move the hips out to the left, reach the right hand down to the block on the outside of your right ankle, reaching the left arm up to the sky. And then we'll establish some better alignment here by moving the hips back. Feel that, and then scoop the tailbone down. Draw the ribs back. Maybe you can open up a little more free here. You can always reestablish that, thighs back, and then scoop the tailbone. That's inner outer spiral. Pausing here for a few more breaths. So once we get in the posture, it's kind of nice to stay here a little bit to get our balance. Now bend into the right knee, bring the left hand to the left hip, and hop the left foot in a little bit. Now I'm going to take the block out on the little toe side of my right foot, not in front of it, but out. So there's a diagonal here. So I'm trying to create a little broad base of support. As I shift forward now, this could be your posture right here. My shoulder's right over the wrist. I'm trying to balance now, shifting my weight onto the right foot. Or the next extension would be to lift the left leg and begin to level the hips, stacking the hips one on top of the other. Both hips are facing forward. You can always touch down if you need to regain your balance. The next step would be to take your left arm up to the sky, lifting and separating your left toes now. Kick the foot forward and notice how that helps you knit your ribs back. So you're integrating your abdominals. That's what's going to help you stay balanced. A lot of times we start to lose balance because we lose that core integrity. So here we're taking the ribs back, scooping the tailbone, helps us find that balance. So that might be your posture, or if you want to go one more step, bend your knee, grab your ankle with your left hand, and begin to open. Now that's going to be a challenge here. Kick your foot into your hand and spin, maybe even looking up toward the sky. Then when you're ready, step back to that triangle posture. Come down to a wide-legged forward fold and use your block, or you can level the block down. Take a wide-legged forward fold. Releasing the forehead on the block, maybe the hands are on the block, or maybe the block is just pushed out of the way. Inhale, lift halfway up, and exhale, release back down. You can extend your hands out in front if you like that version. And then we start to rotate over to the left side. All right, so placing that block to the outside of the left ankle, taking your feet wide apart, bring your arms out shoulder height, and inhale here, elongating the spine, reaching up through the crown of the head, and softening with the breath, letting go of any expectation. Shift your hips over to the right as you reach your left hand down to the block. Right arm reaches up to the sky, move your hips back toward the wall behind you, and then scoop the tailbone. Now, one thing I failed to mention on the first side is you want this knee, so I'm kind of hyperextending here. I can feel it. That doesn't feel good. So if I push down into the ball of the big toe, so I'll move my hand out of the way so you can see. That's hyperextend. If I push into the ball of the big toe, it automatically moves that knee, so there's a whisper of a bend here. So I don't usually forget to say that. Pushing down through the ball of the big toe, that's going to protect the knee. Then you can open and know that you're in good alignment here. Moving the thighs back, scoop the tailbone. One more deep breath in. Bring the hand down to the hip, bend into the front knee, hop the back foot forward. Now we're going to go into half moon. So that block reaches out, and notice my arm is long. It's straight here, so I'm not kind of just gently moving it here. I'm like really trying to move that block out there so that, in fact, let me get back into the screen here. Okay, so arm is long, shifting the weight onto the left foot. I'm onto the ball, or onto the kind of the big toe of the left foot. And then to make the leap, I'm gonna just straighten that leg, straighten the left leg and lift it hip height, stacking the hips. And what I mean by that is, all right, when you're in this posture, if your hips are here, it's gonna be a little harder to balance. If you can open and stack the hips, that's gonna be easier for you to balance. So that's just a little pointer. And then again, we're gonna kick the foot forward, integrate the abdominals. Think stabilizing thoughts here. Yeah, opening the heart, maybe even looking up to the top hand. That might be your posture. You can come back to triangle now, or you can go forward with me into Chapasana is what this is called. And I'm just afraid I'm exposed here. Okay, kicking the foot into the hand, turning and looking up toward the sky. You're coming down to your triangle posture. And then let's go one more time to that wide-legged forward fold. And come on to our knees. And let's do a little hip opener here. Crossing the right ankle over the left knee. Move the hips toward the heel and walk the hands in. Lift and separate the toes on that top foot. Feel that all the way up into your right hip. Yes? Now you can stay here, or you can interlace your hands around the top leg. So my bicep is into the arch of the right foot. The left leg can straighten or it can stay bent. And the knee is in the crook of the right elbow. But now see how I'm kind of hunched here? So now I want to correct that by pulling the low back in and up, lifting the heart, and I can lift the foot. So these are ways that really start to intensify the posture. So if that doesn't feel good, just go back where you were. And so I can lift the foot up and pull it in, and you can even rock a little bit here. And then straighten that leg out. Inhale, lift your arms up to the sky, and exhale, reach like you're trying to reach forward beyond your feet. And move the hips back. Inhale, lift up, and let's go to the other side. Cross the left ankle over the right knee, and then we're going to decide how close your hips are coming to the heel. Lift and separate the toes on the top foot, lifting the heart, staying with the breath, almost like you're sending that breath down into that hip. Now you can stay here or interlace your hands around again. So the arch of the foot is into my bicep, into the crook of the elbow is the little toe side of my foot, and then the knee is in the left elbow crook. And then I'm going to pull the low back in and up by lifting the heart, pulling the foot toward me, up and toward me. So that big toe is kind of facing towards my nose. And I can rock back and forth, or stay right here, or again, just coming back where we started. That might be your posture. In fact, I should have mentioned that this might be your posture right here. You know, if your hips are tight, that probably just means you're an active person, so that's not a bad thing, right? But Sometimes people that are super athletic, their hips are tight, and this is hard for them to even do this. So you wouldn't want to go beyond what feels natural for you. When you force things, that's when you cause an injury. So, so this might be your posture right here. All right, so then we're going to come down onto our back, hugging the knees into the chest, rock here side to side, and then letting your head rest down. I've got a weird bump there, okay? So the head comes down to the mat, so the eyes are facing straight up, the chin is perpendicular to the floor. Then you can either take your knees apart and just grab behind your knee, or if you can grab the little toe side, do that. And here we are in Happy Baby. So if my butt comes up off the floor, that's the same as me slouching in that last posture. So I want to move the bottom toward the earth and lift the low back, pulling the toes down. The feet are right above the knees, and I can take the knees out wider on the opposite sides of my armpits are wider. And Happy Baby. You can rock here a little bit side to side if that feels good. You can bring in one foot and then the other. But a Happy Baby is both legs up, knees down, and the hands are pulling down, but the feet are pushing up. And then attempt to lift the low back and lift the heart. Awesome. Bring the feet together and down onto the earth, opening up into this butterfly or cobbler pose. Press the elbows down, lift the chest, shoulders walk underneath you, and then scoop the tailbone. Relax here. I've got one more posture for you before we end. Let's do one more breath, inhaling. Exhale, fold the knees together. Take your feet out as wide as the sticky mat and let your knees rock from side to side. So here we're rocking to the left, going over to the right, and just windshield wipering here, just loosening up the back. We're really opening up a deep muscle in here, but we're gonna approach it gently so we don't attack it. So the next time you're over to the right, stay here. Your right knee can be up or down, whatever feels better for your back. Please play around with that and see, because the stretch is really coming into this left leg. So the knees are to the right, right leg can do whatever it wants to do. We're really stretching the left. Then reach the left arm up and over. So now you're trying to reach from the knee all the way through the fingertips. Scoop the tailbone. And release, come back to center, and just pause here, let your knees come together. So your feet are still as wide as the sticky mat, the knees come together, and just notice the difference between your right and left side. So for me, I feel my left side is a little more energetic. I can feel the energy flow, and it feels a little bit longer. So whatever you feel there is just what you feel. There's no expectation. Let the knees come over now to the left. Again, the left knee can come up or lay down, right arm up and over, stretching through the knee, through the fingertips, scoop the tailbone. Softening with the breath, but we still have that muscle energy going on. So we find the balance between the effort, and we don't want to hold a lot of other parts of our body in a kind of a co-contraction. We want to be relaxed and engaged in this particular side of the body between the knee and the fingertips. And then come back to center. Slowly walk the feet out into your Shavasana position. And I'll give you a couple pointers here on your Shavasana. Here, I've got my block right here. Just a little variation. It's something so subtle, but put your block long ways and just rest your heels up on the block. It's just a little different orientation. So walking the shoulders underneath you again, so the heart is lifted. Let the ribs sink down. And that's something we can continually work on. Some of us are a little better at that than others, but we're just letting the heart lift while the ribs stay knitted down. And then you're externally opening the shoulders, palms face up. Closing the eyes now, bringing that awareness to the inner body. When I pay attention to how much time and energy is spent on our outer body or the interior design of our home or what the car looks like or what somebody else might think of us, it's exhausting. It can be mind-bending and numbing at the same time. It can be exhausting and we never really measure up, right? But when we turn our awareness and our attention inside, where beauty and goodness and truth reside, true wisdom, the guidance and direction for an authentic life, where to others we may appear regular or maybe even a little less than the magazine might look like. But in our hearts, we know that we were put here for a special purpose, and that purpose doesn't have much to do with what a magazine looks like. So connecting with the breath, and let that breath move around the body. See from your toes up to the top of your head what you feel. And then little by little, as we do that, our heart begins to expand. When our own truth and our own beauty have freedom to flourish, we start to feel that swelling of the heart, where gratitude does take over and balances out our grief. We can find that balance between compassion for ourselves and for others through the gift of the grief, of the gift of the suffering that makes us human. And we pair that together with gratitude for all things, all blessings, whether they feel like a blessing or not. We know that the lessons in life come in different shapes and sizes and packages, but the lessons keep us moving forward. Let the bones get heavy. Feel the heart remain lifted and open. Softening the jaw. Feel the inhale fill you up, and feel the exhale let you sink a little deeper. Every exhale, we release the muscles from the bones. The inner body gets more radiant. Staying in this completely relaxed position, observe the quality of your body and mind. And let the sense of peace make an imprint on every cell of your body. Remind yourself that you can return to the sense of inner peace at any time, riding on the waves of deep peace and joy in the form of the breath. Begin to move your fingers and your toes. Take a deep breath in. And then stretch your body in any direction your body would like to stretch right now. Either stretching your arms overhead or to the sides. You can take a little twist. Or hugging your knees into your chest. And then eventually hugging those knees into the chest and rolling onto the right side here, resting into the fetal position. So as you stay here in this restorative position here on the side, or maybe you've already popped up to a seated position, that's fine too. But I love this little blessing. It goes like this. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is. So if you're still lying down, go ahead and bring yourself up to a seated position. And bringing the hands together at the heart and bowing in gratitude for this practice and for you joining me here today. I thank you so much. Have a great day.